Facts First presents. Here's how Betty Boop has changed over the years, and the secret history of her origin. Betty Boop, with her baby face, her button nose, and big eyes, she is a very recognizable cartoon character, and you couldn't mistake her for any other character. What you might not know is that she didn't always look like this. Here's how Betty Boop has changed over the years, and the secret history of her origin. Before we get into our video, jump down to the comments and let us know what your favorite cartoon character of all time is. Also, be sure to subscribe and click the notification bell so you don't miss our future videos. Grim Natwick and fellow artist Max Fleischer, they created Betty Boop for his Talk-Cartoon cartoon series. She made her debut in 1930, and people loved her right from the beginning. Max was a pioneer in his field, inventing things like the rotoscope and the bouncing ball, which is familiar in animated songs. Betty Boop became so popular she began appearing in Paramount Pictures films. When Betty first appeared, she wasn't the flapper that we know her as today. Back then, she took the form of a French poodle with a baby voice. She appeared that way for a couple of years until her ears changed to hook earrings, her nose shifted to the button, and she looked more like a girl rather than a dog. Betty was inspired by Helen Kane, a fading movie star who'd made her name as the Boop-Oopa-Doop girl. Helen saw herself in Betty Boop, so she filed a lawsuit against Max and Paramount claiming that they infringed on her copyright. The only problem was that Helen's appearance wasn't all that unique. She resembled a movie star named Clara Bow. It also turned out that Helen wasn't the originator of the baby style of performing. Esther Jones takes the title for that. She was a big hit at the Cotton Club in Harlem, New York City. She was a performer of the scat style and invented the Boop-Oopa-Doop style that Helen and Betty Boop were known for. It was confirmed that Max based Poodle Boop loosely on Helen, but Betty Boop actually came from Esther Jones. It took a few years before Betty Boop became a caricature of a jazz-age flapper. For a short while, Betty Boop had to be toned down due to the Hays Code. Because of that code, Betty Boop had to be a bit more demure. The first person to voice Betty Boop was Margie Hines. Over the years, several voice actresses voiced the character, including Kate Wright, Bonnie Poe, Anne Rothschild, and Mae Questel. Mae began voicing Betty Boop in Bimbo's Silly Scandals in 1931. She continued with the role until 1938. It wasn't until 50 years later that she reprised the role in Disney's Who Framed Roger Rabbit. Today, Betty Boop is still seen in commercials and is now voiced by Cindy Robinson. The original Betty Boop was black and white. As color televisions became popular in the 60s, Betty did get some color. Unfortunately, making Betty Boop in full color wasn't easy. Betty Boop made a comeback after the release of the Betty Boop Scandals of 1974. Unfortunately, since there was no longer a market for black and white cartoons, they were sent to South Korea. There, the cartoons were hand-traced, frame by frame, in color, and that caused the animation quality and the timing to be degraded. Because of that, the cartoons just didn't sell. Their sloppy colorization made them undesirable and was later assembled for a feature called Betty Boop for President. It was supposed to coincide with the 1976 election, but it was never released in theaters. Thanks to the invention of the VHS tape, Betty Boop made a comeback. There were a few videos that were made, and in the 90s, the cable channel American Movie Classics showcased a large selection of the original black and white Betty Boop films, and that led to an 8-volume VHS and LV set called Betty Boop – The Definitive Collection. Today, Betty Boop is considered a sex symbol. Her sex appeal has been compared to that of Marilyn Monroe. When she appeared in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, it was clear people still loved her. She's so popular even today that soon she's going to make a real comeback. On February 11, 2016, Deadline announced that a 26-episode TV series focusing on Betty Boop was in production. The release is a partnership between Normal Animation, Fleischer Studios, and King Features. It's set to air sometime around 2019 or maybe early 2020. The show is said to be geared toward tweens and teenagers. The premise of the show will show the daily struggles, joys, and victories of Betty Boop, who dreams of becoming a superstar on stage. It's something that many people are looking forward to. Betty Boop has been in comics, on television, and plenty of merchandise. The merchandise available today shows a much sexier Betty Boop than in the late 30s, and she is still loved by many. Boop boop-a-doop, and subscribe for more.